I was standing in a man's kitchen at 70 years old, a man I'd been dating for 4 months, and the stove was cold and the counter was empty. He looked at me and smiled and said, "I figured you'd work your magic." That's when I knew something was very wrong. My name is Vivian Crawford. I'm 79 years old. I was married to my husband Herman for 38 years, and after he passed, I thought I'd find love again. Instead, I found out something nobody warns you about, and today I'm going to share it with you. Herman was a postal carrier for 3 years. A good, steady man who loved me the only way he knew how, by showing up, providing, and being consistent. But I carried things he never even knew I was carrying. His doctor's appointments, his prescriptions laid out every Sunday night in that little plastic organizer, his packed lunches. One morning in 2004, pen in hand at the kitchen calendar, I stopped and thought, when was the last time I went to the dentist? I couldn't remember. When Herman passed in 2006, colon cancer went quickly. I grieved him deeply and truly. But underneath that grief was something I wasn't prepared for. A breath, like I'd been holding something tight in my chest for 38 years and it finally let go. I felt guilty about that feeling for a long time. Then I started dating again, and I need to tell you what I learned the hard way. The first man I dated after Herman was Ray Simmons, retired electrician, 74 years old, silver hair, a smile that made you feel like the only person in the room. He brought real flowers, called every evening at 7. For the first time in 2 years, I felt seen. Here's how it happened, and it happened slowly, so you don't even notice. Dinners out became dinners at his place. "Come over, I'll cook," Ray said, except Ray didn't cook. I'd arrive and somehow end up in his kitchen making something out of whatever he had. Then I noticed his pill bottles were a mess, half of them expired. So I organized them. Then I started picking up his groceries when I did mine. Then his laundry, because he said the machine confused him. 4 months in, I drove to Ray's for what he called dinner at my place. I walked in. Kitchen was empty. No food, no pots on the stove. Ray was in the living room watching the news. He looked up and smiled and said, "I figured you'd work your magic." I stood in that doorway and something shifted. I wasn't Ray's girlfriend. I was Ray's new wife, minus the ring, minus any commitment, minus any legal protection. Just all the labor. I can't hate Ray for that. His wife Dorothy had done everything for him for 45 years. When she died, he didn't learn to manage on his own. He went looking for someone new to step in. That's what he was taught to do. I ended things with Ray and told myself it was just a bad pick. The next man would be different. He was kinder, and that made it harder. Douglas Whitfield Doug, 77 years old, retired math teacher, widowed 3 years. The gentlest man I'd met since Herman. He remembered my birthday, sent handwritten notes, never interrupted when I spoke. Nothing like Ray on the surface. But Doug couldn't cook anything beyond toast, couldn't keep track of his blood pressure medication, got anxious in the evenings if he was alone too long. And I trained by 38 years of marriage to hear a need and fill it, stepped right in. Didn't even think about it. It was like breathing. Within 3 months, I was cooking dinner at Doug's house 4 nights a week, filling his pill organizer on Sundays, the exact same thing I'd done for Herman, driving him to doctor's appointments. I was 72 years old, and I had a whole new full-time job I had never applied for. Then one night in October 2013, Doug fell getting out of his recliner, bruised his knee. He didn't call his son Michael, who lived 10 minutes away. He called me. I drove 20 minutes across town at 9:30 at night, helped him up, put ice on his knee, made sure he got to bed. Driving home, my hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Not from fear, from exhaustion. A bone-deep tiredness. I recognized the same tiredness I'd carried the last 10 years of Herman's life. The feeling of being needed so completely that there's nothing left of you by the end of the day. My own doctor told me my blood pressure was up. I'd stopped my morning walks with my friend Loretta. I was disappearing again. I called my daughter Patricia Pat, 55, a social worker in Richmond who sees family patterns for a living. I was telling her about Doug's fall like it was a funny story. Pat got quiet. Then she said, "Mom, you left one job. Are you really signing up for the same job with a different man?" I couldn't answer. My voice cracked. After I hung up, I sat at my kitchen table for an hour and I cried. Not sad tears, angry tears. Angry at myself for walking right back into the same life I'd just gotten free from. Different man, same kitchen, same disappearing act. I called Loretta the next day. She'd been going through the exact same thing with a man named Vernon cooking his meals, driving him places, managing his household. Before I could finish talking, Loretta said, "Girl, I buried one husband. I'm not about to bury another one I'm not even married to." Here's the truth I had to face. Nobody forced me into Ray's kitchen. Nobody made me drive across town at 9:30 at night when Doug had a son 10 minutes away. I did it because for 72 years I didn't know who I was if I wasn't taking care of somebody. That was mine to fix, and I fixed it. I'm 79 years old now. I live alone in my house in Charlotte, and I need you to understand something. I am not lonely. I am free. I have a list on my refrigerator. I wrote it the week after I ended things with Doug. Things I can do now. Sleep late on Saturdays. Eat cereal for dinner if I want to. Read until 2 inches the morning. Travel with Loretta. Sit in my own silence, the kind where nobody needs anything from me. That list is still on my refrigerator. I read it every morning with my coffee. Now, if you're a woman over 60 thinking about dating again, I'm not telling you not to. I'm telling you to watch. Watch what he does in his own kitchen. Watch whether he calls you or his doctor when he's feeling poorly. Watch whether your life gets bigger with him in it or smaller. You have spent your whole life taking care of people. Your husband, your children, your parents, your community. You have earned the right to take care of yourself. Don't let anyone, no matter how sweet his smile, no matter how lonely his evenings, take that from you. I'm 79 years old. My name is Vivian Crawford. And the best relationship I've ever had is the one I'm having right now with my own life. If this resonated with you, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories like Vivian's, subscribe, because life after 60 can still be strong, healthy, and completely beautifully yours.